Hello and welcome again to Florida Foodie. I'm your host, Candace Campos, along with our producer, Thomas Mates.
Hello.
And listen, Asian cuisine is pretty much mainstream these days. There is plenty of Thai, Chinese, Japanese restaurants to choose from across Central Florida. But you probably have not tried Lao food. In fact, there is only one Lao restaurant in Orlando and only a few in all of Central Florida. So today we're joined by the chef of Sticky Rice, the first Lao restaurant in Orlando. This is Chef Kevin Punvilai. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
How long did we practice your last name? Listen, Chef Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. I have never heard of Lao food until now. So can you give the listeners just an idea of what that even means?
Lao food, we mainly consist of sticky rice. That's why we decided to call our restaurant Sticky Rice. Sticky rice is pretty much the center of the Lao diet. So we eat sticky rice for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, dessert, and we use that as the basis of the main starch in all our food. When we, cook some grilled meat, have some sticky rice, have some sauce, that's the main Lao dishes right there.
So it's like Italians with their pasta.
Exactly.
There's I'm married to an Italian, and he says, pasta tastes different, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's the same thing, I'm assuming, with sticky rice.
It is.
Yeah. I'm not going to attempt to say it and completely butcher it, but I know there is in Lao tradition, there's an expression that basically means the children of sticky rice, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like that's how ingrained it is in the in the culture.
That's a nice pun. We are actually our nickname is like descendants of sticky rice or children of sticky rice. Mm-hmm. So we're very intertwined with sticky rice. So.
And you're born and raised in the United States, but you also went back to the motherland and lived there. So give us kind of a background of you as a chef.
As me as a chef, I grew up here. Born in California, raised in North Carolina. My mom always had me in the kitchen helping her out. When I was a kid, she had me as soon as I was of age to make rice, to start cooking food. She had me in the kitchen helping her out.
You were chopping.
I was chopping. I was her little helper, up into the point where I'm like, I don't want to help no more. It's funny because when I was a kid, I hated doing it, but as now looking back, I really appreciate being there and learning from my mom. So.
Oh yeah. So you've actually gone back for a couple years and kind of just absorbed the culture and all the food there too. So how was that like? How long were you there for?
I think in 2006, 2007, I stayed in Laos for about 3 years. So came back in 2010. It was eye-opening, just because when I went back when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate it. Going back then, I got to eat. I like to go on the boats and drink mainly. But just eat a bunch of food, trying out different hawkers. There's a spot that I used to go to it's a little corner store. It's like the grandmother will come down. She'll make papaya salad. She'll make pork rinds, she'll sell beer, she'll make little appetizer dishes, and upstairs is her house.
Oh, wow.
And I would just go there every morning or every lunch, and I'll sit there and I'll have a papaya salad and a beer, and I'll just take it in. I'll look around me and there's abandoned concrete buildings everywhere, and just the open roads, and I kind of took that view. So if you ever go in the Sticky Rice, you'll see that's the walls are painted concrete.
Yeah.
And we got the low tables. I kind of want to take me back to that moment and take everybody into the streets of Laos. So the whole ambiance is from that moment that I was in Laos.
It's very atmospheric in there. Like you said, it's kind of low and dark, and the tables are all kind of low to the ground. Was that all your design? Was that a collaboration with you and your partner?
Yeah. Well, we wanted my partner Marshall. He it's also my cousin. me and him came together, and we came up with the whole concept, and wanted to bring like Lao food here to the Orlando food scene. So.
And the tables look like it's almost like family style. So you can, talk to people if you want to talk to people. You can, different types of size groups can also go to, was there a reason for that?
Oh, yeah. Our concept, we wanted to do small plates, shareable plates, just because in the Lao culture, whenever we have a meal, we usually have everything right in the center of the table, and then everybody around the table kind of picking at everything, grabbing everything, eating together. We're all about community in the Lao culture. So we wanted to bring that concept or bring that style into sticky rice by doing smaller portions with the long table. That way, you can sit there, everybody order a couple things, push it to the center of the table, eat together, and it's more enjoyable that way, eating with friends and family. So.
And you guys do like street food, like what you'd get at like what you called the hawkers in Lao. How does that like different from like more like you just sit down kind of situation in Lao? Like what you're making versus say like what your mom would make?
Yeah. We actually do both at Sticky Rice.
Okay.
We do have the hawkers, and we got the most like more traditional items too. But it's Lao food, man. It's all good, man. It's all good.
I mean, I was looking on your menu, and I mean, at least for the shareable stuff, it's like $4 or $5 a plate. I mean, you could really go to town for $20 and really enjoy different things. It's not you just invested in one plate and you're like, well, I really wasn't a fan of that plate, but I really like what that other person on the other table was eating. So I mean, it really gives you that opportunity to kind of test try and kind of jump around the different plates too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of people that come in, they like to order like the whole menu. And you're
like, awesome, let's do it.
But people like the options of trying different items, so that that's good that we have that type of menu style. And
you guys have quite a beer selection too. Is there kind of a background between Lao and beer? Because I know you were talking about it too. I mean, is there a certain type that you would recommend people to drink when they're having that type of food?
I always recommend the beer Lao. I believe they had like the 2012 beer of the year in Asia. But yeah, I always recommend the beer Lao. We carry the beer Lao. We also carry other imports from Thailand and Japan, but I always recommend the beer Lao. We actually have to get that imported from Lao because not many distributors carry that brand of beer. So we have to order probably like 3 months worth of supplies and keep it on hand and reordering because it's hard to get your hands on that type of beer.
And how would you describe it? Is like a dark? Is it more of an IPA?
It's more like a light beer. It's kind of like a lager.
So like a Dos Equis kind of.
Yeah. But there's also a dark lager. There's two versions that we carry. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So you were, we had kind of alluded to that like Lao food's not necessarily the most mainstream of Asian cuisine, and there's, Pan-Asian's kind of been a thing for a while now. Like, what is the big separator between Lao food and say other things that people are more familiar with, like Japanese or Thai?
Actually, my parents and my aunts and uncles and a lot of Lao people, when they open up restaurants before, they always open it under the Thai name, just because Thai and Lao, we do have we're very intertwined, and we're very got that history with each other. So a lot of Lao food, a lot of places that you go to, and you actually try Lao food before, you just think it's like mislabeled as Thai food. Like like you ever seen Spider-Man: Homecoming?
Yeah.
Where him and Aunt May is like, I lap you, or I larp you. Yeah. That dish is actually traditionally it's a Lao dish. So a lot of people have been trying Lao food before. They just don't know.
And you're located in like the Mills 50 district. I mean, we continue to talk to chefs and restaurant owners from that area. I mean, this place is blowing up. I mean, how does that feel, kind of being part of this new wave of restaurants and this new eatery in that area?
It feels great. It feels great to be, appreciated for the food that we're bringing out, and the Mills 50 area, the people, the community there is very. I appreciate it a lot, and I feel a lot of love from yeah.
I mean, there's so many like startup restaurants too, which is so cool because you can kind of get in there and really understand who the chef is, and behind the doors, behind in the kitchen, which is I bet really what you can feel. And Thomas, you said that you've been to Sticky Rice before.
Yeah. It was I spotted it and I was like, I don't think I've ever had Lao food. I was like, I need to try that, and it was. I really didn't have any expectations other than I knew a couple of Lao dishes like larb.
We call it lap.
Lob. Sorry. But other than that, I really wasn't aware of it. And we were talking beforehand, the one thing that really stuck out to me on the menu at the time were the tapioca dumplings. I was like, that is something I've never had before.
Okay, wait, is that sweet? Is that salty, savory? What is?
It's a little sweet, but a little savory also. They're we take the pork and we put a little bit of palm sugar, a little bit of oyster sauce, sweet radish, and peanuts, and we saute it, let it reduce down, let it cool down, take that, put a little tapioca on the outside, and we steam it, serve it with cilantro, fried garlic, and dried peppers. We call it saiku saimu. It's the closest translation to a dumpling that we can say it to, so we call it a pork tapioca dumplings. But yeah, it's one of our most popular dishes. It's my wife's recipe.
Oh, really? Yeah, smart cookie, right?
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite dishes that you offer on the menu?
We recently competed in the 2018 Ramen Rumble over at the Osprey Tavern.
Ramen Rumble, yeah.
Yes.
That's a rumble I can go watch.
We competed with Morimoto Asia, with Chef Yui, and Jade Bistro.
Okay.
On
These are pretty big names.
Yeah. So we did it for charity. I think it was like $30 a ticket. You go in, you get like a pastry, and then you get a bowl from each chef. And then you get to vote for which ramen that you enjoy. So we did that competition, and we actually won with the ramen that we did. So
wow,
the ramen that we did was a coconut curry ramen. So I did like a basis of like what makes a ramen, makes it hearty and delicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I used it with like Lao ingredients. I used like galanga, kaffir lime leaves, coconut curry broth, and we won with that dish, and I'm very proud of. It's not traditionally Lao, but I'm glad that I get to use like Lao flavors and bring it to that competition and actually win it, and won it for a good cause, and we got $3,000 for charity for that. So
that's fantastic.
It was pretty cool. I'm pretty good. I'm proud of that. But yeah. That's for more traditional side, our papaya salad. I really is proud of our papaya salad. In the beginning, one of the ingredients that we use in Lao cooking is we call it badak. Badak, and it's pretty much fermented fish that's been sitting for a long time with salt and fish sauce and just listen. That's like the main ingredient in the Lao food cuisine.
Yeah.
Where was I going with it?
Papaya salad.
Papaya salad.
Yeah.
So
my mouth is watering just you talking about just the base of the papaya salad.
our papaya salad is more funky. It's more pungy. But when we put it on the menu, we wanted to keep it traditionally the way it is, and in the beginning, a lot of people tried it, and we probably had about 50% of people send it back just because they're not used to those flavors yet.
Yeah.
And that's one dish that I don't want to change. I want to keep it traditionally Lao. So I'm very proud of that also. So.
Is that something you have to compete with, or that you maybe when you were just starting out had to compete with more like people like unexpected flavors that people weren't used to, and just kind of like this is like way too different from like the palate I'm used to, and
Because I mean, when you order papaya salad, you're thinking it's something like fresh and cold, and almost maybe a little citrusy or something, and then you say it's fermented fish. You're like, whoa, what?
Yeah, it's in the beginning we had like a little bit of kickback just for that dish, but like I said, I grew up in North Carolina. I grew up in America, so the menu that we have, it is traditional, like to this core, but I changed it the way how I would like it. Because I have the American palate, I guess.
Right.
So it is traditional, but I do put a little bit of my own like flair into it.
Yeah. So for people who are wondering, is this more of like a lunch spot? Is this open for lunch and dinner? Is there breakfast options? Is there sticky rice for breakfast?
Yeah, we're open all day. It's a lunch spot. It's a dinner spot. It's however you want it.
So I have to ask, it's a defining feature here.
Yes.
A lot of chefs have an interesting style. The mustache.
Yeah. If you're just listening, you have to go to clickorlando.com and see this stash.
Yes, it's I believe, what did I say? Gentleman boxer. That's what it kind of looks like. What brought this out?
Actually, I was watching Full Metal Alchemist, is an anime.
Oh, yeah.
I'm familiar.
There's a character on there that has this mustache, and I was sitting there and I was like, I was wondering if I can grow that out. And it's for about 4 months it was looking really raggedy. But eventually it formed and it looked pretty good, and I wanted to have this mustache to just kind of be distinctive from every other restaurant. So that's Kevin from Sticky Rice.
That's the Sticky Rice guy.
Yeah. So for people who may be just listening for the first time, they don't know me. I'm a big nerd. I know a lot about anime, but for those people who don't, like in anime, I know there's a lot of the food plays a big role, especially in like Hayao Miyazaki films, like Spirited Away and stuff like that. Like, have you ever drawn inspiration from like animes for your dishes or anything like that?
From what I understand, anime is not just cartoons, right? This is
it's mostly just cartoons.
It's cartoons, but for adults too, right? Yeah.
I'm I'm a big ramen guy. So I watch Naruto. Naruto have a bunch of ramen dishes in there. I want presentation-wise, I try to make it look really good. So anime is where it's at.
I mean, speaking of presentation, I mean, some of your plates, I mean, it looks like everything's kind of like it's a big bowl of stuff. Is that kind of how it's also served? Is that kind of more of an authentic thing?
Like I said earlier, we like to eat everything on a table and just eat together. So we wanted to make like a small place with bamboo as garnish and just make a big spread and make it delicious.
Almost like a charcuterie board of just like all
exactly.
good stuff from Sticky Rice. That's awesome. I mean, how long has Sticky Rice been open?
In December we'll be there for 2 years.
Oh wow!
So we're still fairly new. I'm still trying to do as much thing to get more people to come in and try it. Just because Lao food is Lao in general, nobody really heard of Laos before. So that's one thing that's really rewarding for me is with our cuisine, I get to introduce people to my culture. So.
Yeah.
What's your mom is the one who kind of started guiding you into the kitchen. I mean, what does she, think about you just opening up this restaurant and moving here to Orlando and obviously opening up the first one in Orlando?
She's really proud. She's really proud. She's my main critic, I guess.
Good.
Yeah.
How mothers normally are.
I'll make something and she was like, oh no, you need to add this, you need to add that.
Yeah. Is she from there?
Laos.
From Laos, yeah.
My mom and my dad both born and raised in Laos. So,
Yeah.
so.
So they have the palate certainly for it. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And for people who are listening, what's the address of the restaurant and the hours?
We're located at 1915 East Colonial Drive. We're across the street from Lily's Bridal and the Dollar Tree. We're open every day from 11:30 till 10 o'clock. Sundays we close a little earlier at 9:30. So.
Yeah, and where can people find you online?
We're on Facebook, Sticky Rice Lao Street Food. We're also on Instagram, Sticky Rice Lao Street Food.
All right.
So.
Well, the next time you do a podcast, I want to see this whole spread of shareable food here at
Let
the
me
table.
know. I'll bring
He
some.
came empty-handed, everybody.
I'll bring some and fill the whole table up next time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Chef Kevin. We really appreciate you
Thank
coming.
you.
And I can't wait to give Sticky Rice a try. You should too.
Thank you for listening to Florida Foodie. We'd also like to thank our guest, Chef Kevin Punvilai from Sticky Rice. You can follow Sticky Rice on Facebook and Instagram. Our host is Candace Campos. Please follow her online as well. You can find her on Twitter. Just search @CandaceNews6, and on Facebook, search Candace Campos News 6. We'd also like to thank our technical producers, Derek Mosier and Ryan Hawley. I'm the show's producer, Thomas Mates. Please take the time to rate and review us wherever you download your podcasts, and you can find videos of all of our podcasts on clickorlando.com/podcast.